So after Chapter 2, the Mandalorian has the Yoda-like species baby, and he's getting off the planet he was on and headed back to collect his bounty. What happens next? Let's find out. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin streams. As always, I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian Chapter 3. As I mentioned in the intro, the Mandalorian has his bounty and he is on his way to collect. And that's where we start off. He's landed and he's headed to drop off the Yoda-like baby off to whatever you want to call them, the leftover Empire guys. So I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm finding on these episode by episode reviews, I'm finding it a little difficult to not be spoilery. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about in the episode, and if there is big reveals, that's the stuff that I won't spoil. But other than that, I'm just going to talk about the episode and what I thought about it. I wasn't really surprised by anything in this episode. That being said, that's not saying it wasn't a really good one, because the story is kind of going where I want it to go. And I think now that some things have happened, we're going to get to see kind of more of the unknown happen to our main character. This episode was, I think it was about 40 minutes. And that seems to be kind of where they're aiming for, the 30 to 40 minute mark, which, at first I was a little perturbed by that, but you know what, as long as they're this good, I guess it doesn't bother me that much. So where the story goes is, as they're traveling to the planet where he's going to collect his bounty, he kind of interacts with the baby a little bit, and you can kind of see that maybe he has some feelings for it. I mean, he's protected it. He saved it from the people on the planet. He's kind of protecting it now. And while normally a bounty is just something he has no problem turning in, he knows there's something, of course, there's something special about this creature. The fact that it's force sensitive. So he knows there's something special. Plus, you see he's starting to have a connection with the baby. So you wonder, is he going to turn it in? Well, yeah, he does. He turns it into the Empire and gets a ton of that Mandalorian metal. And he takes it back. And when the other Mandalorians see him walk in with that much metal, I know they're all wearing masks, and they do address the whole have you ever taken off your mask thing, which our main character says no. So yeah, the masks aren't coming off, and I think it's kind of a dishonor to them if it does. But when he walks in with that medal, they know he has a big bounty, and they all kind of are following him, and you wonder if they're gonna, try to take it from him, or if they're just curious or whatever. And we do start to see a little bit of how the Mandalorians are now, after the things that happened to them during the Clone Wars. If you've seen the cartoon, you kind of know what they went through. And plus, they did some stuff in Rebels with them as well. And you're starting to see how they have to do things now. They're kind of in hiding, and they feel like they can only go out one at a time. So it's... They can't, be the glorious nation that they were, the glorious group of people that they were before all this bad stuff happened. And so our main character, while he does get a new set of armor, I mean, a very new set of armor, he has it made, he kind of donates some of the metal to the Mandalorian cause. That he says it's for the people, and the people agree with him that that's a good idea. He has a special weapon made, and that was one minor gripe I had with this episode. Was he had this little special weapon made, and I it's hard to explain exactly what it is, but I was kind of hoping they would save it for later, but he uses it during this episode. I was kind of hoping maybe it would come into play later, but minor gripe. It was still cool when he used it. So after getting the metal, turns in the metal and has it turned into armor, and for the second time when the stuff's being forged, he's having flashbacks to where battle droids are destroying the city he's in. And this plays into one of my theories. I know I'm not the only one that has this theory, but I've got a feeling that Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to show up sometime in one of these flashbacks. Like, Obi-Wan's going to be the one that saved him from this destruction of his city. And that would be kind of a cool thing, because, I mean, come on, think about this. The House of Mouse, the one that has connected Marvel, or helped to connect Marvel for 10 years, right? I could see them wanting to do this with their Star Wars shows as well. So I have a feeling we're going to get Ewan McGregor in this show, probably in the 8th episode, or maybe even in the next season. I have a feeling it's going to be episode 8 where we see that flashback, and it's going to be Ewan McGregor helping him. So he's seeing those flashbacks again, and then of course that gets him to thinking about the baby, because he's conflicted. He was conflicted when he turned it in, and I mean, again, you kind of know where it's going to go. I wasn't real surprised when he did turn it in, but I knew he was going to go back for the baby, and of course he does. Which means while he took the bounty, he's turning on those that paid him. And of course, we also find out that they sent a lot of people after that baby, because he asked how many trackers were sent out, and he's like, a ton of them. So by taking the baby back, of course, that puts a target on his back, not only from what's left of the Empire there, but also other bounty hunters as well. And how he gets out of it, I loved how he got out of it, because it was something that harkened back to, you don't have to know the Clone Wars or anything, but it harkens back to those stories where the Mandalorians were like an honorable people. So it harkens back to that, and I really dug it. It really shows that, and of course, having David Filoni involved in this show, and of course he was involved in the Clone Wars and in Rebels, of that it's going to play into it, and he's really good at showing the different types of people and species and everything, and they're different, the way they are and everything. So I really liked what they did with the Mandalorians in this, and I hope they do more of it. I hope this isn't all we get of that. But yeah, so that's the story now. The Mandalorian, or Mando as they're calling him. I know there was a name leaked. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if that's his name or not. I don't care. He's Mando, or the Mandalorian to me. Mando has escaped with the baby Yoda, and I would call it its species name if I knew it, because of course nobody knows it. He's escaped with the baby Yoda, and that's where we leave off. So right now, I love where it's going, because while I knew where it was going to go this episode, I knew pretty much what he was going to do. The stuff with the Mandalorians was a nice surprise, and then I just like that they're keeping to kind of where granted, I'm sure he'll have friends later. He's at this point where he's on his own. He has broken all the bounty hunter rules, and he's on the run now. So I imagine he's going to be getting chased by tons of bounty hunters. Hopefully, maybe we'll even see some bounty hunters that we saw in movies like Empire and things like that come after him. And who knows? You never know. Boba Fett may even show up. I could see them retconning his death and having him escape the Sarlacc pit and coming after our new hero. And that would be kind of cool. And it would also be a kind of a cool way to make Boba Fett less of a chump. Because come on, admit it. We all know that, yes, Boba Fett looks cool, but he didn't do much in Empire. And he got knocked into the Sarlacc pit by a blind guy with a stick. And that's all he really did in the movies. Granted, they did more with him in the cartoons and everything, which was smart. But in the movies, he was a bit of a chump. And I would love to see them retcon him and still have him, not be an honorable Mandalorian, be still just the bounty hunter. And so you'd have the bounty hunter versus the honorable Mandalorian. And that would be cool. And I really hope they do that. That's if you're going to bring Boba Fett back, that would be the way I'd want to see him come back. But that's going to be all for this look at Chapter 3 of The Mandalorian. The show is still great. It still feels like a Western to me, and I love it. And they got to keep this aesthetic, the space Western. I just love it. And, of course, I'm still highly recommending this show. So yeah, that's all I really got this time for this edition of Crossin' Streams. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to the Real Gino YouTube channel. Like this video. If you have anything to say about The Mandalorian, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Gino, Gino Reynolds. See you later.